Mario RPGs slap, you know that, right? We get some wild, crazy, and unique Mario adventures from a lot of them. Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi, Mario RPG, even the Mario plus Rabbids games. And at this current moment in time, we are experiencing far more Mario RPGs in a single generation in such a short time span than we have ever seen before. But it wasn't that long ago where it felt like the direction for Mario RPGs were extremely uncertain. When the Switch dropped Mario RPGs, even several years before the Switch came into the market, they felt weirdishly less than ideal. Not the absolute worst though. Paper Mario strayed from its roots in 2012 with Sticker Stars, so we were already familiar with that series not trying to conform or evolve itself within those roots. At the very least at that time, we had Mario and Luigi to keep us busy. Dream Team, a good one. Paper Jam, the worst Mario and Luigi, but it was still a good game. Remakes of Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story, once the Switch dropped, in either one of those games, almost every Mario and Luigi herald as the peak of the series. But shortly after Bowser's Inside Story got remade, it wasn't long after that Alpha Dream, the studio responsible for the series, would announce their unfortunate bankruptcy. This was only a couple years into the Switch, and all of this was once again, long after Sticker Star and Color Splash cemented Paper Mario didn't want to do anything RPG. So Mario RPGs had a constant rate going for them during the 2000s between Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. But one cut off those roots and the other managed to hold out as long as it could until their home studio went kaput. So going into the Switch, and by year 2 or 3, it was looking extremely grim for Mario RPGs, because don't let any weird stigma of the 80th RPG from Nintendo / the Switch, oh, 50 RPGs, thank you Nintendo, I love this in my Direct. Don't let any of that fool you. Either one of those series have millions of passionate fans going for them. Thousand Year Door, Superstar Saga, Paper Mario 64, Bowser's Inside Story, Partners in Time, Super Paper Mario, even the original Mario RPG on the SNES. Like a lot of these games, people swear to being the peak of Mario's adventures. Some of the most creative and original stories with all these grander, more epic stakes, gorgeous set pieces and great gameplay, all these original characters too, just extremely well crafted and charming Mario games through them running through the RPG formula. So it was unfortunate and depressing for anyone who's a fan of those games. But then, something even odder than those games happened. Mario was announced to be getting a crossover game with Ubisoft's Rabbids in a tactical strategy game. Of course, a lot of people were insanely skeptical at first. Who wouldn't be? But Ubisoft approached Nintendo with the idea of Mario joining the Rabbids, and Miyamoto himself greenlit the proposal and conditioned them into making it as long as it was something different. Thus, we got this XCOM-style game of Mario and some of the Rabbids shooting and crushing enemies with this futuristic, weird technology, privy to the Rabbids kind of, but not Mario. And it would become one of the most shocking third parties on Switch with just how well crafted and charismatic it wound up being. It wasn't even an RPG-styled Mario game. It had maybe like 1 or 2 elements that RPGs use. And the story, while more than your usual Mario fare, especially putting Bowser Jr. at the forefront more than his father, was still basic for the most part, just being more creative in how many types of combinations the Rabbids could make with the Mario characters in the Mario world. But for all intents and purposes, Kingdom Battle in particular is a turn-based strategy game far more than anything else, with a new style of gameplay for Mario to delve into. Give it 5 more years on the other hand, and out of nowhere, we get a sequel game with Sparks of Hope, and while it's another strategy game, you can easily argue far better than with Kingdom Battle, this is another Mario RPG in a similar-ish vein as the 2 series mentioned prior. It had this grander, more epic setting and narrative, the gameplay simulated RPG significantly more, having you move around this overworld, then interacting with enemies, sending you to a separate battlefield for combat, defeating enemies, netting you experience points, leveling up, genuine RPG elements and gameplay right there, a bunch more original characters, side quests, more creative worlds than the last game. Sparks of Hope is a great sequel to what Kingdom Battle set, but it was significantly closer to hitting the RPG roots Mario had than anyone expected, and that was a pleasant experience to withhold. But even with how great those games are, and how Sparks of Hope scratched some of that Mario RPG itch, it wasn't going to be enough for anyone. Paper Mario still kept to its path, no sign of any lingering interest from Nintendo in regards to Mario and Luigi. We had some indie developers and studios create a bunch of different games, and plenty still on the way, styled after both Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario, Bug Fables out right now, fantastic recreation of the classic Paper Mario formula. Born of Bread coming out soon. Java Saga, Reindeer Story, Edinger Odyssey. Look up Paperverse and you'll see what I mean with these games. It's obvious with how many of these indies exist and how many more are going to exist. It's blatantly obvious the demand for RPGs, like the older Paper Marios primarily, but even Mario and Luigi, are still there. And there are people that want some experience of that in the modern age. So it felt kind of rough not getting anything within the main Mario franchise of this stature. Fast forward to summer 2023, something surprisingly more unexpected happened. Super Mario RPG, a full-on remake of the original SNES game from almost 30 years ago. Completely new models, new cutscenes, redone soundtrack, a few touches to the battle mechanics, boss rematches a la the Pokemon titles. Absolutely no one ever expected Super Mario RPG to make any marginally significant comeback. Only one character, Geno, has made a single cameo appearance in the original version of Superstar Saga. He gets a sticker in Brawl and Mii costumes and whatnot in Smash 4 and Ultimate. But it was always assumed Square Enix and Nintendo had this weird, rocky opposition when it came to Mario RPG. So anything Mario RPG related since the early 2000s was almost never referenced or mentioned in later Mario games. It was the very first Mario RPG of the whole Mario subgenre that two other series that came after carried the torch. No one would ever think they just flat out rebuilt the entire original game with modern hardware, graphics, and everything. And yet, that's what one of the biggest surprises in the June Direct 3 months ago wound up being. I went on record stating how it was preserving Mario RPGs. Even when it's a remake, it was a refreshed and continued iteration on the Mario RPG genre. It was a complete revival of the one that started it all, the one millions of people still adored, the one we all thought would never make any form of a comeback ever again. Even when Square Enix and Nintendo's relationship long since the early to mid 2000s got much better again. And then just 3 months after that, Paper Mario's getting the remake treatment too. The Thousand Year Door next year is getting remade as well. Remake, by the way. I might make that into its whole separate video, whether Thousand Year Door on Switch is a remaster or a remake. I'm like almost 100% positive it's a remake, but that's besides the point. This is literally another case absolutely no one else would have ever expected. I went into a whole further articulated video on the significance of the Thousand Year Door remake's existence. Check out that video if you haven't, or even if you did, watch it again. It's a pretty good Paper Mario video. So I'll try not to repeat myself too much here from what I said there. But it really was just another one of those types of games where we thought Nintendo and Intelligent Systems wanted to distance themselves as far away from Thousand Year Door as much as possible. The modern and new entries in the Paper Mario series couldn't go any heavier on original character designs, depictions of gender and ages, primarily with the Toads. They didn't go any wilder in most cases with the settings. The stories for these entries were the same bare-bones skeleton of a plot we'd get in 2D Mario. Origami King does a little more in both this and the character stuff, but it was still a marginal step to what people wanted Paper Mario to do, like it did since 2004. And the gameplay across all three did not live up whatsoever. The battling in particular, it just served no purpose, no incentive, it's designed very bare bones, it wasn't fun to engage in, the strategy was bare bones, it's just all this different stuff that came about, these interviews and information. It felt like this was such a massive cope from a fan or something. But just like Mario RPG, just like how it felt Nintendo never wanted to associate much if at all with Super Mario RPG, now they're re-embracing Thousand Year Door by remaking it so beautifully. This and Mario RPG feel like a whole fan project slash fan recreation slash mod of either game. That's how unbelievable it is. Literally both those games we never expected. And both Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door, the announcements for both remakes literally came about within the span of a single season. One moment we're antsy on whether Nintendo cares about Mario RPGs with one kind of Mario RPG made by Ubisoft, then deadass the next, we have the first ever Mario RPG coming back by Square Enix, and then the moment after that, Intelligent Systems is throwing a bone to hardcore Paper Mario fans. Legit, one moment we had one from a completely new developer dabbling in Mario at all, and the next two of some of the most beloved Mario RPGs ever are getting full-blown remakes. We're on the cusp of getting 3 Mario RPGs in a single generation, and that was completely unexpected by anyone, and it's literally more than how many Mario RPGs we ever got ever. The 2000s we had Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario games keeping us busy. 2 series right there. Going into the 2010s, Mario and Luigi kept up to the end of it, but Paper Mario dipped into action-adventure with these half-assed RPG elements barely. So 1, 2017, we get the strategy game with Mario plus Rabbids that kind of, sort of, gave a really minute fill for the Mario RPG branch. Going into 2020, Alpha Dream's gone, Mario RPGs during the late 2019 to 2022, for those 3-ish years, were the deadest they have ever been. Then 2022, Mario plus Rabbids dives into more RPG elements proper. The following year, a remake of Mario RPG comes along, and a remake of Thousand Year Door is announced almost immediately after it, coming the year after that. That is a really short time span for a series to go from 0 to 100. So damn fast. Well, 90, 95. I'll explain. And it's even wilder when you stomach the fact that all these RPGs coming back at basically the same time was also kind of unintentional. I don't mean unintentional in that they never wanted to remake TTYD, Mario RPG, and whatnot. We know Ubisoft wanted to do more with the Mario plus Rabbids games, and they kind of released the sequels sooner than Nintendo themselves wanted them to, interestingly enough. But we don't know if Nintendo themselves wanted to bring back Mario RPG or Thousand Year Door. We don't know if Square or Intelligent Systems for their respective games pitched the idea to Nintendo themselves, or if it was the other way around. But we particularly can't really expect all 3 of these series to just have these Mario RPG adventures come out so close to one another just because of the timing. All 3 of these games were made by different studios altogether, almost all of them being third party. You could even argue that for Intelligent Systems, and it's not like they're conjoined in any major way whatsoever. The timing feels extremely coincidental to me, purely happenstance, but it is pretty damn awesome. You gotta wonder if either the upcoming remakes will sell well, and that warrants even more follow-ups to both using more RPG elements and creative ideas, or maybe there's immediate interest in the following up Mario RPG with a direct sequel in Square Enix, while Paper Mario eventually creates a proper RPG structured 3rd installment, the 7th installment in the series being the 3rd RPG-esque Paper Mario. We can't say for now, but the fact we even have a chance for both, that's so astonishing. All we are literally missing now is a Mario and Luigi comeback. Maybe if RPG does sell well, Square Enix, or a different third party, or an in-house studio at Nintendo could take a crack at a new Mario and Luigi, a remake translated to modern hardware like RPG and TTYD. That is part why the 3DS remakes bombed, given they released on 3DS just as the Switch came out with a myriad of larger, incredible games on there. There's gotta be some interest in Mario and Luigi making a comeback after all these other Mario RPGs are basking in the Switch limelight lately. Millions adore Mario and Luigi. There's still a lot you could do, add, and expand on with Mario and the characters and the world and whatnot. People do want more Mario and Luigi. It's a beloved series of Mario adventures we'd love on a home console in modern HD. If Mario RPG can come back, and if Thousand Year Door can come back, and if both RPG and Thousand Year Door can come back at essentially the exact same time, a Mario and Luigi comeback of any sort is 100% possible. All the RPG games escaped out of this weird limbo they were stuck in, save for just Mario and Luigi. It is a big resurgence for the genre, but with Mario and Luigi ever making some form of a return, that would be a true, complete rebirth entirely of the genre. And there are a lot of people that would love that, and even more would join those series' adoration if they did. Hell, you could even kind of extend this resurgence to the creativity and originality and uniqueness and whatnot to almost everything Mario on Switch. Odyssey and Bowser's Fury with 3D Mario, Wonder with 2D, Luigi's Mansion 3, the Mario plus Rabbids duology, Princess Peach Showtime. To a considerably smaller degree, the 3 sports games on Switch, Mario Kart 8 expanding its content doublefold, making its roster the best out of any mainline Mario Kart, Mario RPG, Thousand Year Door. I know I'm kind of stretching it a little bit with Mario Kart and the sports titles, but this is essentially a creative renaissance for Mario as a whole, especially in mainline RPG and action-adventure spin-off territory. We're seeing him experiment and get not just weirder and wackier than he was during the 2000s, but easily the most experimental and unorthodox we've ever seen from him and Nintendo. Ever. Whether the types of games themselves or the way Nintendo made and announced them, most of these Mario games are dead-ass stuff we would never expect from Mario nor Nintendo 1 or 2 decades ago. That's basically half of Mario's library on Switch, more or less. I mean, hell, the Switch itself, it's kind of serving as this big bastion of dreams coming true. The return of Sandbox 3D Mario, the return of classic Mario RPGs, and classic Paper Mario, the largest Zelda games ever, packed with immense stuff and ideas in those, Metroid 5's revival with Dread, Prime 4, Prime Remastered, Prime 4 didn't come out yet, but you get what I mean, Kirby's first 3D game with Forgotten Land, the ultimate Super Smash Bros. With every character coming back, the series' largest roster ever, unbelievable, unexpected favorites like Ridley, King K. Rool, Simon Belmont, Banjo-Kazooie, Minecraft Steve, Sephiroth, and Sora making the cut, Xenoblade Chronicles' entire trilogy on the system, with the first game ever getting remade, Mario Strikers getting revived, all these third parties you'd never expect to make it on a Nintendo console, even just Switch, like Persona, Nier, Metal Gear Solid, a large chunk of mainline Final Fantasy games and whatnot. There's just such an unbelievable amount of incredible games on this thing. And so many of them achieve and introduce what fans of each respective series wanted to for so damn long now. It's not all of them, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot. There are a lot of them that do this. And now, Mario RPG and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door are two more precious, incredible examples serving as such. We do still desire a new Mario and Luigi, significantly so, but between where Mario plus Rabbids is going, Mario RPG's revival, and Thousand Year Door's revival, I don't think there's a better time to be a Mario RPG fan than now, with way more Mario RPG to go around than we ever did since the late 90s. Let me know your thoughts on all this below, and you already know. Thank you for your time and your eyes, and I shall see you all with more Mario content and RPG content to come. Stay super.
Yo, hey, 妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和大哈哈呀！拉面，嘿，来。